Hi guys, I'm Blackie. This is a video response to a question that came up in the 21st century long hunter. Can you shoot shot in a rifled muzzleloader? Yes, you can. Now, with a couple of provisos, let's understand what we're talking about here. One, no rifled gun is going to shoot as well as a shotgun. Just ain't going to happen. But you can use it effectively within its limitations. Now, back about, I believe it was 1986, 1987, the club that I was in was involved in woods runs, shoots, rendezvous, and etc. And I remember a particular match that was put on by a local club that, to make it fair for both the smoothbore and the rifle, the targets along the way, they had shot targets, which were for the smoothbores, and then there were rifle targets. The smoothbores could also shoot at the rifle targets with round ball. Well, I felt it was kind of an advantage to the smoothbores because they got to shot at two kinds of targets and I only get to shoot at one. So in discussions with our group, like Captain Bass and Davey Hobbs and a few of my close friends at the time, we decided to do some experimentation. And what we found was, yes, you can. Now, in a nutshell, when the shot column is put under pressure from the pressure of the gas coming behind, it flattens out and pushes against the walls of the barrel. We know this. If you just put a paper wad shot, paper wad on top and fire, it will fire, but it will probably lead your barrel pretty bad, and it will probably make a lousy pattern, because when it gets to the end of that and the lead just comes out in the barrel and wants to start spreading, the wad blows through the middle of it. It makes this big old donut hole in the middle of it, just like you have in modern shotgunning, talking about too much wad pressure. So there had to be a way, and we experimented with paper, shot cups, several things, but the thing we found that was the down and dirty quickest and best was a tampon. Now, this morning when I went to buy some tampons to utilize in this, I found out that they've now got larger than they used to be, because when I used to buy old Playtex ones, they fit the 50 caliber bore perfectly. Now they're more like a 60 caliber. But that's okay. We're going to cut them and make them work. That wad don't have to be a perfect wad like in a shotgun. It just has to protect the bore in a short run up the barrel. So we're going to put a powder charge in, then we're going to put a wad in, then we're going to put the pedals, in this case cut and stacked in there, and then we're going to put a plug on the top. And we're going to ram that all together tight, so when it fires, it moves as one unit up the barrel. There isn't a lot of give to it, so when the powder smacks it in the butt, it doesn't jumble up. It just moves like a slug. When it comes out the end of the barrel, the plug's going to fall out of the way because it's going to open up the minute it hits air. The pedals, which are cut, are just going to let go like a parachute, and that's going to leave the shot. The wad coming out of the back is just going to open up as well and drop. It'll perform about like a cylinder bored 410. That's not terribly impressive, but it is effective out to 10 to 15 yards. As a snake gun, it's awesome. I mean, it'll pepper a snake out to 10-20 feet. And if you're trekking around and you want something to carry when the rattlers are rolling and stuff like that, that's the way to go if you're going to be carrying these 50 caliber muzzleloaders. Now, let me reset. I will demonstrate how I prepare the wad and how I load and fire. Stay with me. I'll be right back, guys. Okay guys, the procedure for preparing. The ones I'm using right now are a generic plastic tampon, regular size. Now, over the years, the size has changed from what I used to get back in the 80s. They fit the bore. These are bigger, so you got to do another modification. Take them out of the wrapper, move that, and then pull out your ramrod. Like that. These little pedals have to come off, so just cut them off, flat across the top like a shotgun wad. Then you want to cut this into halves or thirds. You may get an advantage either way, but I think thirds is the best. So 1, 2, and 3. See what we got. Now cut these off of the base. Like that. So now we take the actual tampon itself, remove the string. We're going to cut it into a 2/3, 1/3 piece. Like that. Now in my case with this little applicator I'm going to use it, but you don't have to. So I've got my 3 wad parts, my base plug and my top card. Now I'll show you how to load it. Let me reset the camera. We'll get started. Hang on. Okay, loading procedure. I'm going to start with a 70 grain charge of 3F powder. That sounds like a lot, but when you consider that the old dram was about right at 30 grains, and this would be like a 2.5 gram load, which isn't considered very powerful. Load it in, give it a little tamp. Now take your 2/3 piece, and you need a grease of some kind. I prefer boar butter, but Crisco will work, whatever. Apply to the base pretty good. Don't worry, there's plenty of powder there, so if it makes that top 5 or 6 grains a little contaminated by the grease, it ain't gonna matter. Put that in. Start it down the bore about a 1/2 inch. Now, I'm gonna take my 3 petals, or wad cup, slide them in, so they're all in there, and they form a circle all the way around the charge. Now make sure they're slid all the way down to where they're touching the base, the wad I just put in. Look down, make sure they're open. Sometimes they want to close up, so I'm going to use this little applicator to hold them open until I get shot into it. Now, I've been shooting with number 6s, but for this shot I'm going to use 7.5, so I'm going to sacrifice a 20 gauge shell. One, maybe 2, whatever. I just don't have any small shot handy right now. I'll cut the top. I'll pour that load of shot down this tube. Okay. Now, ease up that rammer. That's about perfect. You want it top to come up to the top of the cup lips. And that 20 gauge load, which is what, a 7/8 ounce and 7.5, is just about perfect. Now, do not put your top cover on yet. Take it and ram it all the way home now. Don't worry if a little bit of shot rolls around the end of your ramrod, because when you pull the ramrod out, it's going to fall back down on top of the pile. Now, take your top plug, put in place, ram it home, feed it. Now here's the extra step, extra lubrication. We want that cup to slide out just as easily as it can, so I'm going to take a wad with a pretty heavily greased patch, and that's what I'm going to ram down. This will allow me to finish seating it and lube the bore in one operation. Solid. You want it, no air space, solid in there. Well, pulled out one of the things. That's okay to make a full circle. That hooked it. Now, let me wipe my pan. I'll set up and we'll shoot it. And you get to see what she looks like. Stay with me. Okay, hope you can see that. My aiming point was here. So I got good pattern all the way around. Mostly here, which is where I was aiming. But that was my aiming point, and there's, oh, right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 20. Probably 30 in that right there. More than enough for a squirrel or something like that. I shot a target earlier. This target was with number 6s. I think you can see that a little easier. That was with number 6s shot at 15 yards. So, and my target was here, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in the target. More than enough for small game. This will never replace a true 410. It'll never replace a true 12 gauge. But it will serve as a snake load. Is predominantly what I used it for. Because when I was doing living history trekking, and we're wearing historic costumes and we're going from A to B, I live down here in lower Alabama. We got a lot of snakes. In this very yard I'm in right now, they've killed almost 25 snakes in the last year, of rattlers, moccasins, etc. in this well kept up yard. So we got a lot of snakes. And so when you're walking through the woods in historic garb, you can't tote a shot-loaded 357 or whatever. I had to tote the gun I had, which was my 50 caliber. So with this as a snake load, a bird load, something like that, it works effectively out to like 10-15 yards. Now you can also, for small game, do sub caliber. And this is something that Boone talked about. Marshall, I believe his name was either Ralph or Marshall Hooker, was the guy that ended up with Daniel Boone's gun, one of his guns. And he said that Boone had shot a 36 caliber ball out of a 40 caliber gun using leather patch. And so that got me to thinking. So we did experiments back then as well of making a squirrel gun out of a 50 caliber. We'd take a 36 round ball that went into a cap and ball pistol and use denim or thick pillaticking as a patch, like a 30 grain charge. With practice we learned where it hit, and we were able to shoot small games and rabbits. So to recap, I carry the full bore 50 caliber ball for use on big game, hog, and etc. I can carry a 36 or a 40 caliber or something small like that for use on small game, rabbits, squirrels, and stuff. And I can carry shot with the Playtex shot cups so that I can have a snake load or a bird load. Very versatile gun. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. Safe journeys.